do talk about a lot of different factors. So yeah, I am going to use these resources from Save My Exams because this is up to date. Okay, so let me quickly show you this. So you can see this was updated. So all this content was updated last year, 30th of May. So that means it is almost up to date with the latest syllabus updates, as well as based on the last year's exams. Okay, so all these points are specifically focused towards exams. So we'll start from, so this particular class we'll switch it to theory, and in the coming next 2 weeks we'll entirely focus on finishing this part up, as well as when one unit is done, we'll do all the papers based on that particular topic. Okay, so that's how the flow will go. So this will let you actually go through this and read and understand the basic points of this. So as I always say, Edexcel ICT is one of the easiest subjects, but the thing is, you just need to keep in mind these particular topics and the keywords. Okay, so it's all a matter of understanding the exact keywords, so that just like there, you can continue to build the paper structure. So, okay, so I'm going parallelly according to what we have in the book. So, as you can see under the unit 1, we are starting with the types of digital devices, right? So, it will be the same thing. So, we'll be jumping into this and let's see how it goes. Super. So, give me 1 second. Yeah, all good. Okay, so I'll quickly jump through this. So we'll understand what are the points, and then let's see. If you have any questions, please feel free to ping me and let me know. Then we can discuss and see how it goes. So once you take a print, you do have the option of taking some notes. So you have a separate area to take your notes down, so that you can make sure that you write down all the important points according to your requirement. Okay, super, sounds good. So what is a computer? So we are starting from the primary point, starting from what is a computer, and let's see the specific keywords. So super, so in simple terms, what is a computer? A computer is, uh, be careful, focus on the highlighted bold content, because these content are the specific keywords which is required to be written on the paper. So as you guys know, also I have heard some of the schools, they do follow strict principles when it comes to marking. So the thing is, if the keyword is not visible, or if the keyword is not added in the documentation, then some institutes and some schools, they do not give you marks. But keep in mind, if you check the papers, you can find out that these, like the answer sheets and the breakdown, it basically gives you a certain set of marks based on the keywords. So if the keywords are written properly, then obviously you're going to get the full marks. Super. So we'll quickly jump through this, and just to jolt up your memory, so that you can see what we are focusing on. Super. So computers, we know the basic concept of computers. We do have an input, a process, and an output, right? So in this case, you can get this type of question. So if you get the question for what is a computer, so the answer is, a computer is an electronic device capable of taking an input, processing data, storing information, and providing an output. So input, process, store, and output. Okay, so please keep in mind these keywords. So these keywords are really important, because these are the ones which you are required to be writing on the paper. So electronic device which taking input, processing data, storing information, and providing an output. Okay, so then the next point is, we have to make sure that we will explain data that is input is raw and processed information. Okay, and information is data that people understand. Simple as that. So what a computer does is, computer takes in some data, some raw data, process it, store it, and gives an output. So that output is technically considered as information, and the information is what people can understand, right? Okay, so it's simple as that, but remember the keywords which I have marked are the most important keywords which we need to make sure that we can give the idea. Okay, so that's about the computer. Then we do have some points about mainframe computers and microprocessors. Okay, so mainframe computers. So yeah, by the way, if you so in my channel, I do have the first videos which we went through the unit 1. So if you need to clarify something, please go through those videos. You can just find the unit number and you can get the video done. And just visit my channel under the playlist IGCSE ICT. You can find all the videos, and you have videos until the unit 2 where you can actually cross check and go through it. So okay, jumping back to this mainframes. So mainframes and microprocessors. Again, you are tend to get questions about mainframes, and what is basically asking what is a mainframe and what is a microprocessor. So mainframe computers is basically a computer with huge processing power. So you can write huge, or you do have the option of writing this in a different way as well. As long as the message is getting conveyed, then that is perfectly okay. Okay, so a mainframe computer is a computer which has let's say large or huge processing power and large or massive storage capabilities. Okay, so they are built to handle enormous amounts of data and carry out complex calculations. Okay, so just think about the other. So just take a mainframe computer as the other way of your personal computer. So your personal computer is built to perform a certain set of simple activities, and the mainframe computer performs much more activities and has much more performance. So they are built to handle enormous amounts of data and carry out complex calculations. At the same time, they are designed to be secure, reliable, and support large volumes of simulated users. Okay, so when we say large volume of simulated users, it's basically saying that now if you, let's say if you try to run let's say you have a gaming server, and let's say you are trying to run that gaming server on your laptop or on your machine. There's a maximum number of people who can join it, right? Because your processor on your computer has a certain set of limitations, right? Based on those limitations, you are not able to process a lot. But these mainframe computers are focused and created specifically for that type of load, so that it can handle a huge number of simultaneous users. Okay, as well as they are designed to carry out a certain set of critical tasks. Okay, so critical task is also a specific keyword which basically explains for large organizations like the government sector, health, finance, banking, and gaming, cloud computing, and shared resources, shared applications such as, like, let's say emails and all. So all these things are very like big large organizations which has a certain set of critical tasks which it must carry out, right? So in order for these tasks to be done properly, you need to have a big mainframe support or a computer, right? Okay, then I hope the mainframe part is clear. Then we talk about microprocessors. Okay, so microprocessors are basically similar to a CPU, yes, but they are inside an integrated circuit which will be focused towards carrying out only a certain set of tasks. Okay, not like massive large number of processings, but this is basically a small circuit, small IC, which contains a central processing unit, but it is focused towards carrying out a certain set of small tasks. Example is, if you take a LED bulb, the LED bulb also has a certain IC in it. So each bulbs, they do need to process a certain type of data to make sure the voltage is intact and to make sure the bulb is working, right? But other way around, if you take a power supply, if you take a like a IoT device, all these devices, they do contain ICs. So whenever we say the name microprocessor, the first keyword which you should have in your mind or pop into your mind should be an integrated circuit, which is also known as an IC. Okay, so that contains a central processing unit, and these are embedded into devices to make sure that they can carry out this specific set of tasks. Okay, and the microprocessor is responsible for executing instructions. Simple as that. Okay, so just to get tell you guys a big brief about these microprocessors. Like if you take the latest monitors which was released by Apple, this Apple high-end, they call it, it's known as the studio monitor. So if you take the studio monitor, that studio monitor actually has an Apple iPhone chip inside the monitor as a separate CPU, so that it can process different instructions, as well as it can control the inputs and outputs. So it's a massive next level task. Like even in our monitors we do have control ICs. Okay, so in simple terms, microprocessors are used in a home. If you take it as an example, they are used in a home to basically to monitor and control devices such as, let's say, uh, a heating system or security alarm systems, as well as if we take like home entertainment systems and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of different uses for this. So even if you say security and alarm systems, they are being used on multiple devices. Like even if you take a what do you call it? This if your microwave or your oven, or if you have a automatic, fully automatic washing machine, all these devices contains microprocessors, because like technically your washing machine doesn't need a high-end CPU to run those tasks. So because of that reason, you do have a certain set of microcontrollers which will perform these particular tasks. Then so that is about microprocessor. Then we jump into desktops and laptops. So now earlier we talked about what is a computer. So this is just an overall idea about what it does. Then we talk about directly about a desktop computer and a laptop, just to understand what this is. Okay, so a desktop computer, or yeah, well, let's go with the desktop. So a desktop computer is basically designed to stay in one place. මේ මතක තියාගන්න keyword එක. So it is designed to stay in one place. So for an example, on a desk, right? As the name implies, it's a desktop computer. Anything අපි desktop එක තියෙන desktop desk එකකටනේ, right? So that's the whole idea behind having a desktop computer, to be stored in one place. So in a traditional desktop computer, we are given with, sorry, we need to have few items. Primarily, we need to have a monitor. Yes, we need to have a computer, as well as we need to have the keyboard and the mouse. So those four are the primary items which is required. Then at the same time, if you get a question to, so if you just yeah, you can just take some notes down. But if you get a question to write about the peripherals of a computer, please keep in mind, because now example is a desktop computer does not comes inbuilt with a webcam, right? So a webcam and a microphone and sound and all these things, they do not have that inbuilt. But if we take a laptop, then obviously a laptop will have all these sub or support peripherals inbuilt, right? So in this case, primarily we have these three items, but for this we can write few more, like a webcam, speakers, a printer, a scanner, and any device which will be used for um, any productivity purpose, yeah, right? So all these devices can be attached to the desktop computer. So they are, in simple terms, this is part of the question as well. So desktops are typically more powerful than mobile computers. Typically powerful, but yes, I know you guys might argue saying that no, we do have powerful laptops, but that's a different story. Now there are laptops which is much more powerful than desktop PCs, but still there is a certain extent the power of a laptop can go. So obviously we do have a certain set of limitations, but after that, anyway, whatever said and done, a desktop computer is much more powerful, right? So they are powerful, and primary keyword is powerful, as well as, guys, remember, this is also another keyword which is known for the upgradability. Okay, so desktop computers are obviously upgradable, right? Because you can swap and change parts. They allow you to replace a certain set of parts so that you can make sure your performance or the power of the PC can be increased, right? So example is, if your memory, so let's say if your motherboard has support to have, let's say, 4 RAM sticks, then obviously if you have only 2, then you can upgrade it, right? You can go for 4 RAM sticks, which will increase the total RAM capacity of your machine, which will ultimately make it much more powerful, as well as it will make it uh, give you more space in return, will make it sure that it can perform much more activities than it did before, right? So remember the word. Then the most important third keyword is upgradable. Okay, so designed to stay in one place, more powerful than mobile computers, and upgradable. Okay, so specific keywords, keep in mind. So then let's quickly jump into usage of the uses of computers. Okay, so remember, this is, I have seen this question. I know it sometimes it feels a bit silly because it's something you know, but be careful. You need to be exactly clear when you're giving these answers. So here we have this into specifically 3 categories, so you can actually study this and make sure that you remember these points. So when it comes to office and business, obviously it will be starting from word processing, right? Word, or you can say office tools, and then financial modeling, and most primarily emails, data storage and backup, and video editing, different types of project managements, as well as video conferencing. So you can say calls, video conferences, any specific word which falls under these set of keywords will be taken as a correct answer. Okay, then education. So education, that's another specific point, right? So education wise, we have online learning, we have the ability to research using the internet, right? And content creation, multimedia presentations, as well as online collaboration and online communication. So I have seen this questions couple of times where people ask about where we get questions on paper where they ask about collaborations, like how a computer allows you to collaborate. So in this case, online collaboration would be one of the primary points, right? So you can actually use the computer to collaborate with multiple users online and work on it. Then we jump into the final topic, which is gaming and entertainment. So in this case, yeah, online gaming is one of the most popular things right now. Plus, streaming and watching content, as well as social media and mainly online browsing, right? So when we say online gaming, I saw a post a couple of days ago where there's like, so we have this gaming platform called Steam. Steam is one of the oldest gaming companies in the world, and apparently Steam has over 40 million players concurrently playing on the server on any given day. Okay, so that means I think even more than so that is even more than productivity tools. So 40 million users means 40 million people, 40 million kids and adults playing games. No? So that is one of the most commonly used features on a computer right now. So remember these keywords. So I know it's a bit hard to like memorize everything, but just try to remember at least the primary keywords: online learning, research, content creation, emails, word processing, financial modeling, data storage, video and image editing, project management, and video conferencing, as well as social media. So if you can remember these parts, then it would be perfect. Okay. So then that is the point behind the desktop. Then we jump into a laptop computer. So, but this section is all basically common for both. So users of desktop computers, in the sense now you can do this with a laptop also. So it's basically the functionality wise both are the same. Super. So a laptop. So now here we have a specific keyword which is known as designed to be portable. Okay, so a laptop computer is something which is designed to be portable so that you can take it someplace or take it to multiple places wherever you go, right? So a laptop computer, so just be careful, remember the keyword, it's designed to be portable. Okay, so a laptop computer traditionally consists of built-in monitor computer. So we can either call it a monitor, or we can let's say we can say a display or a panel. Okay, and you have the computer obviously, then a keyboard and a trackpad, or sometimes you get the touch screen plus keyboard and pointer, right? So keyboard and a trackpad or touch screen would be more than enough, right? Okay, so on top of these set of these 3 or 4 items, we do get another set of specific things, specific hardware on a laptop, which is sounds, right? So a laptop usually comes inbuilt with speakers, as well as they do come inbuilt with a microphone, and some laptops they do have CD drives and different peripherals as well. But nowadays, I think about 90% of the laptops they do not have a CD drive, but earlier back in the day they had CD drives as well. So laptop computers are, so here we call it less powerful, but yes, but just go with the flow. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to fight it, because yes, we know laptops are. We do have powerful laptops, but then again, still, if you do a direct comparison, yes, a laptop is less powerful than a desktop. That is mainly because, so remember, this can be a question, no? So laptops are typically less powerful because primarily the power constraint. So because it's everything is packed into a small form factor, the power constraint is going to be a massive point. Because ideally, if you take a PC, if you take a desktop computer power supply, you can easily go for a power supply which is more than 1000 watts or so. Okay, so you do have the option to scale it up a lot. But when it comes to laptops, since you don't have space, you are constrained with a certain laptop size, you do have issues when it comes to the power supply and the CPU size and everything. So remember, power constraints due to size, or you can say due to the small size of a laptop, the hardware is small or hardware has limitations. Plus, other way around, laptops are actually designed to not to actually keep it on a table and work. No, the whole idea behind a laptop is to keep the computer on your lap and to work, right? So that means the total ideal focus is to make sure that your device has a long battery life, right? So because of the size, there is a certain constraint of power, as well as, since this is designed to be mobile, then that means the battery life is also focused. So because of that reason, battery life is because the battery life is one of the important points, automatically the power is reduced to make sure that it can last for a long time. And then you have the upgradability problem, because because of the sizes and all, nowadays all these laptops and hardware, they basically comes inbuilt with fixed hardware components. So you have if you take a hard drive, or let's say, mainly nowadays the memory is basically soldered to the motherboard itself. So you have the CPU and the memory fixed together, so that there is no way of upgradability, so you cannot upgrade. So you can easily say it's not easily upgradable, or it's not upgradable, right? And at the same time, laptops are battery powered, right? As well as some laptops are used to use as desktop replacements. So I think primarily, remember, it's designed to be portable, less powerful, due to the small size, small footprint, as well as due to the idea behind having a long battery life. So these are the primary key points which you have to keep in mind. Plus, then we can jump into advantages and disadvantages. So again, this is the similar thing where we talk about the opposite of things which we wrote above. So when it comes to portability wise, yes, advantage is portability, because you can take it wherever you want. But the disadvantage is you have a limited expandability, because due to the difficulty to upgrade the hardware, right? As well as advantages, you can access to internet and resources from anywhere, because that's the keyword is flexibility. And disadvantage is less powerful. So since the flexibility is there, the power is restricted, right? So that means it is less powerful compared to the performance of a desktop computer, and can be used for various tasks and activities which will be multifunctional, and you will have a shorter battery life. Disadvantage is if you use it a lot, then automatically you are going to get a shorter battery life because the usage is high, right? Okay, so that is about laptops. Okay, so I know it's something straightforward, but I hope you can now see that even if we think it's straightforward, when you go through it, you do get a certain set of let's say a certain set of points which you have to keep in mind, right? So that issue is actually technically there, right? Okay, so then mobile phones and tablet devices. Okay, so primarily we'll start from what is a mobile phone. So please do highlight this keywords. Okay, මේ keywords ටික තමයි උතන තියෙන important points ටික, because all the questions will be technically based on these keywords. That's why. Okay, so you just need to make sure that the keywords are written, but if you have the keywords properly written, still you have the option of getting the full marks easily. Okay, so yeah, give me 1 second. I'll just switch my sorry, yes, this is much easier. Okay, so mobile phones and tablet devices. So starting from this point, so it's a pretty straightforward set of items. So a mobile phone is basically an ultra portable electronic device. Okay, so here you can basically say you can either use the word ultra portable, or you can say it is a portable device, or you can also say it's a handheld device. Okay, so whatever the word which will give the idea that it is something which is portable and which you can carry on your hand, that would do the trick. Okay, so a mobile phone is an ultra portable device which designed to be lightweight and fit in a pocket or a small bag. Okay, so that's the idea. So remember, as I always say, when you're writing the answers, even if you don't, let's say, okay, something happened and you forget the keyword, just make sure that you write it according to the idea which the person who is reading, if he can get an idea that you wrote it with the specific background, then still you're going to get the marks. Okay, then mobile phones. So the second point would be mobile phones are used to transmit information between people and devices using radio waves. So this is actually important. So when it comes to the communication factor of things, so this part about the radio waves, that is something which is important in this keywords, because phones are using GSM radio waves, right? So we do have different types of GSM bands. We have what do you call it? Multiple generations. So we have the first generation. Now we are jumping into the 5th generation of mobile networking, right? So likewise, you just need to make sure that you write about the specific point. So saying that it is connected through people communicate through radio waves, this part would be perfect. Okay, even if you use something like mobile phones communicate with each other using GSM or let's say internet or GSM or radio waves would be the best answer. Then there are two types of category. So be careful now when it comes to mobile phones. You can write furthermore. Now here we primarily identify this as two types. We have the smartphones and we have the uh, specialist items. So we can actually put tablets as well. Like, okay, so we have phones, we have phablets, and we have tablets, and so on and so forth. Anything which is which contains a CPU and a computer, and which is portable, we can take it into that category. Okay, so this is about a mobile phone. Then we talk about smartphones. So I have seen this question as well. So where it asks about what is a smartphone and what is the what are the features they have. Okay, so in simple terms, a smartphone is a versatile general purpose device. Okay, so again remember the keyword, it says general purpose device, but the thing is you can say, if you write this in another way, saying let's say if you are using a smartphone you can do XYZ tasks, that is also perfectly fine. You know what, last year's A-level paper, A-level, not IGCSE, A-level paper, we had a question asking, it was a 4-mark question, which asked what are the things you can do with a smartphone apart from taking calls and something. So it's just a walk in the park question, right? So you do get that type of questions where like they ask you what type of activities you can perform. So obviously, so there's a massive lot of activities you can perform, and let's see that in the features. So remember, general purpose device plus smartphones use a SIM card. Okay, please do highlight this particular word, SIM. So a SIM, the abbreviation behind SIM, the meaning behind SIM is subscriber identity module. Okay, subscriber identity module. So this is known as a SIM card, which is the chip which will basically be put into our devices, and using that chip or that small card is what we will get access to whomever the network or the cellular carrier which we are going to use. So using the SIM, we basically announce who we are to the cellular provider, and that will basically get us the connection. So this is going to be the method where it will link the device to a network carrier. Okay, remember the keyword subscriber identity card or the module, subscriber identity module, or we call it the SIM card, which will link the device to the network carrier. Okay, so then let's talk about few features of the smartphone. So primary features, SMS and phone calls, right? So these two are the primary features primary things we do using a smartphone. But I know nowadays you guys don't send SMS messages because now we have digital means of communication such as like WhatsApp, and all these digital platforms are there. But in an ideal scenario, using the GSM network, we do the option to communicate. What we get is to basically send and receive SMS messages. So when we look at this one, SMS messages would be the first item, and then these are like quick communication messages which will basically allow you to message from one device to another device which will be which you can send, and you will be able to draft or create this message using a virtual keyboard on your device, right? So that's how you basically create the message. And then we have phone calls. So phone calls, be careful, there are two different types of calls, huh? So we do have the phone calls as well as we do have the voice over IP calls. So remember, if you take something like WhatsApp, and when you take a call through WhatsApp, or when you if you're an Apple user, you can take a call through FaceTime, or you take calls on Instagram, Facebook Messenger. I'm not sure TikTok has calls feature, but you still can send messages. So all these platforms, how they work is using this communication protocol known as VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. Okay, so this VoIP, VoIP, in simple terms we call it VoIP. So that is something different from phone calls. So a phone call is something which we will be using GSM to send a voice communication through two devices, which requires a cellular reception. Okay, but VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol, that is something different, which is sent through the internet. Okay, so if you get questions about asking what is VoIP, Voice over IP, then obviously the answer would be it's audio and visual communication via the internet. Okay, so this of course requires extra applications such as let's say some sort of a communication app, something similar to, as you guys know, we have WhatsApp and all these different applications, and that application must be installed on the device. Okay, so that is how two devices can communicate to with each other. So this can make and receive phone calls via the smartphone, tablet, or any computer which we have. At the same time, this requires, if you are using this to make video calls, then you have to make sure that you need to have a particular front-facing camera, because in order for you to capture your video, yes, you need to have the camera. Okay, so these three are the primary three items which we use, and then we have the rest of the secondary items we basically similar to accessing the internet. So accessing the internet, that again requires cellular reception to access the internet, because we will be using the GSM frequencies to connect, plus we can also connect to the internet using Wi-Fi, right? So as long as we can get an internet connection, our devices can connect and let you browse the internet directly through the system. At the same time, so this is again can be a question. So what about web pages? Now, when it comes to web pages has to be optimized to support mobiles, right? Because ideally, when you look at a website online, the version what you are going to see is something which is known as the desktop version, right? So when you browse the internet on your laptop, what you will be seeing is a larger version which is optimized for the desktop, for the screen. But when it comes to mobiles, yes, there has to be a specific optimization done specifically for the mobile, because that is how the mobile resolution or the screen size is optimized, so that your content is properly displayed on the mobile, right? So just keep in mind those points. So web pages are optimized to smartphone access, as well as I said before, they can connect to Wi-Fi and access the internet also. Then what else you can do with mobile phones? You can pay, right? So usually most of the, like about 99% of the mobile phones now we have in the market, does have the ability to make payments, but due to, let's say, due to different restrictions in the countries and banking systems and all, still some countries does not support it. So even in Sri Lanka, we still don't have the mobile payment support, but it will be available pretty much soon. So since we do have the devices, and then so mobile payments, remember the point, plus the camera, the most important thing in mobile phones nowadays, right? So the camera is extremely powerful now. Like if you take a flagship level iPhone or a Samsung device, you know that they comes inbuilt with a very good camera, like almost a professional grade camera, where you can actually use it to do some professional level photography, right? Okay, and then there are a few items which is not listed here as well. So remember, online gaming, that is one specific point which you can write, and basically the answer is correct for that as well. So online gaming, as well as mobiles now do support content editing, social media. So that is through the internet. You do have access to social media of applications, as well as whatnot, banking, and primarily tracking applications, maps, and health applications, fitness. All these things are now inbuilt in smartphones. Okay, so keep in mind. So when you get, so these are the primary set of items which is like primarily identifiable. So just to stay on the safe side, remember the points. That's perfectly asked. But in case of, if you remember, if you forget one of these items, just remember you can write something else as well, like gaming and so on and so forth. Whatever the thing you do on your mobile phone, you can write it. Okay, super. So then we have these specialist devices. So specialist devices are something which is known as so it's the same device. It's the same device, but it's a special device which is created focusing a specific audience. Okay, so we do have mobile phones which does multiple different types of activities, but the thing is, you need to have different you have different devices catering different audiences. Example is like senior phones. So senior phones are like phones designed for senior users, which has like larger buttons, easy to read displays, simplified user interfaces, because now the user interfaces are a bit more complex. Emergency alert buttons, where they can actually immediately control and request for help support, and plus hearing aids and compatibility issues. So like sometimes you might need a specific device. So let's say your device has to be specifically optimized for somebody to properly hear it, right? Then we have children's phones. Basically they are like brightly colored with limited access and parent controls. Okay, so these two are one of the most, these two are the primary points which you must write if you get this question, where if somebody asks you to, if you get a question saying what's the to explain what is a specialist phone designed for a child, then obviously these two would be the most primary points which you have to mention, because when it comes to children, primary requirement is to make sure we limit them, right? So limited access and parental controls. Then we have the rugged phones. So rugged phones are designed for tough environments, which has thick screens, rugged outer casings, basically built to withstand multiple different types of abuse which you can do to a phone. Like you can drop it. It is waterproof, so that you can actually keep it underwater. So these rugged phones are basically designed for people who are working outside. Let's say some people who are in the construction sector, construction industry, and so on and so forth. So for them, the rugged phones will make sure that they will make sure that the phone won't get damaged, right? Okay, so let's quickly jump to the tablets. So then we talked about mobile phones and the specialist phones. Then we have tablets. So a tablet, what is a tablet device? A tablet device is again similar to the smartphone, but it's a general purpose device that sits between the smartphone and a laptop. Okay, so which sits between a smartphone and a laptop. Keep in mind, this is the keyword. So if you can write the specific word in the questions, then you will get the full marks. So let's do a quick comparison. So size-wise, smartphone is pocketable. Yes, it is portable because you can actually. The idea is it is designed to be put into your pocket and to be portable, right? But tablets, they are portable, but the target audience is different. So the idea behind a tablet is to have a larger screen, not a big screen like a laptop screen, but something similar, so that you can perform more tasks which you cannot do on a smartphone, right? So it is portable, but larger screen means they require a bag or a case to carry around, right? Then that's the size. Then the focus. So the focus is for mainly the smartphone is for communication, camera, texting, messaging, calls, and so on and so forth. But the tablet is more focused towards productivity, right? Productivity and entertainment, where you can actually read books, games, watch movies, edit documents, and do field activities like to fill forms and perform different types of activities based on a certain set of based on the productivity factor, right? Then power and performance. So smartphones nowadays, there's a very let's say there's a very thin layer of difference between a smartphone and a tablet, because nowadays these smartphones actually have the ability to plug this into a screen and a keyboard and you can work, right? So even my iPhone, I used to plug this into a USB-C hub, and I have a big 43-inch screen with the keyboard and mouse and everything, and I used to play Call of Duty on it. Okay, so you can basically plug this in and you can play Call of Duty on the large screen. So it is designed to be used as small miniature computers. But same thing with if you take Samsung, if you plug a Samsung machine into a display with a keyboard and a mouse, automatically that converts into something similar to a desktop version, where you can perform a certain set of desktop activities. Okay, so all these features basically comes inbuilt, but in this particular comparison, a tablet is anyway a bit more powerful than a smartphone, because they do have much more processing power, RAM, and a high-end CPU. So if you take the latest versions of iPads, they do have the same CPU as you get on a Apple laptop. So same power, same performance, but you get the high-end extreme portability. So you can take it anywhere you want, and you can perform almost all the similar activities like as you do with a laptop. The only thing is the only difference between these iPads and MacBooks are iPads has the operating system which is known as the iPad OS, and laptops has the full-on desktop Mac OS, so that you can basically perform different activities on the Mac OS itself. Okay, so that's how it works, as well as battery life. Now this is something important. Now the mobile phone is usually small. I mean, the size is small, so that means the battery capacity is obviously limited, right? So it has a specific limited capacity, so you cannot extend it to a, you cannot let's say, you can't use it for a long time, so obviously it has to be charged every now and then. But tablets, they do have larger batteries which will let you use it for longer periods of time, which is again, yes, it is designed to do that, right? So that's how. Then we talk about few other digital devices. So these are also falling, these also falls under the same concept of a digital device, a mobile digital device, but they do have different let's say, different set of features. Now example is, if you take a camera or a camcorder, then that is basically a focused, like a particularly prime focused device for that particular task. So what does it do? It basically uses a light sensor to capture the images, right? And then when that image is saved, it has an internal memory, so that the image will be saved. And nowadays most of the cameras are actually really intelligent as well. They do have high-end processing, where you can do much more activities with cameras than what we did a couple of years ago. But just keep in mind, so these devices also falls under the same category as mobile devices. So if you take a camera, we do have a certain set of features. So we have a lens, and we have an image processor, as well as we do have sensors. So the sensor is basically the one which is going to capture the photo or the details, right? And then my favorite, we have game consoles. So gaming consoles, especially these handheld gaming consoles, these are focused towards playing video games, right? So they have only one purpose. They are powerful. Powerful means sometimes they can be much more powerful than a laptop as well, because they are built focused towards gaming. So then still it's handheld, so you have batteries, but it works as a portable device. So primarily the features means you have a powerful processor and the graphics for smooth gameplay, plus they have the online capability, and they do support controllers. So you do have the option of having a controller to go through this. So for the moment, I haven't seen any questions related to gaming hardware, but I have seen some questions basically focused on cameras, where they ask what are the primary points of a camera. I mean the primary uh, devices or options of a camera. Okay, so if you get that question, these three would be the perfect answer. Okay. And then we have home entertainment systems, similar to hubs, where we connect our audio video devices, which will basically allows you to connect and receive, and basically um, give out a good experience based on your audio and video devices, as well as you do have the option of media players. So media players, they do work as a similar way, where it will be used to play back media. So you can connect to TVs or speakers to play back the media, plus at the same time it plays different media such as like Blu-rays, DVDs, plus you do have portable media players which can be used on the go. So portable media players, this was actually a big thing back then, but I think yeah, about 10 years ago, having a portable media player was actually a big thing, because our phones didn't have that capacity to like play a lot of music. But nowadays, nobody uses portable media players, because unless you are literally an audiophile who is like really interested in getting high-end, high-quality audio. Otherwise, we do not spend money on portable media players. So, but just keep in mind the keywords. So, portable media players, media players, they connect to TVs and speakers, as well as they do have the option of playing different media, and they can be portable. Okay, then we jump into the last category, which we talk about multifunctional devices. Okay, so this is a bit of a tricky category. So we do have devices which can do different or a wide range of things. Okay, so let's see what this is. So when it comes to a multifunctional device, you just need to remember this particular keyword. So a multifunctional device is a device designed to carry out a wide range of tasks. Okay, so this is the particular keyword which you must write. Okay, you must write. Please do highlight that part. You must write this keyword. If you get the question, what is a multifunctional device? This keyword is extremely important. Okay, so what they do is they combine different functionalities from different devices together to be able to use as a single device. Okay, so multifunctional devices, they combine features and functions that would usually be separated, and then you can use it as a single device. Okay, so simple answers: smartphone, printers, and smart TVs, right? Those three are very simple answers. Smartphones, we all know you can do lots and lots of different activities. As long as this can perform, like this can run software, you can do anything on it, right? Plus, plus a printer. So there are different types of printers where you can print, scan, copy, and do all this stuff. And smart TVs. Smart TVs are now it's common, no? Like then කොහොමත් අර පරණ TVs ඇත්තේ නැහැනේ මාකට් එකේ. So like now about 90% of the TVs have this particular chip, so that it falls under the category of a smart TV. So smart TVs, again, they do allow you to stream content, watch TV, play media, install applications, and so on and so forth. So I'll tell you another example. Keep this in mind because we got a question last year. Under A-levels, we got a question, but where we had an image of a smartphone and, a smartwatch. And the question was, the question asked, what are the features of this smartwatch and what it can be, what that person who is wearing this can expect to get out of it. That is where we get this particular question, the convergence. Okay, so convergence means convergence කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන් කිව්වොත් එකතු කරනවා කියන එක, right? Convergence කියන්නේ මොකක් convergence කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම එකතු වෙලා එකක් වෙනවා කියන එක. හරි. එතකොට in this case when we say technology convergence, that means merging multiple technologies together so that you have a single device. So in terms, remember the word, convergence is the merging of technologies that would usually be separate. Okay, so obviously convergence, technology convergence led to the rise of smartphones. Yes, we know that. And at the same time, so we had this question in the paper where it showed a smartwatch and asked what are the features of a smartwatch, or what were the features which was introduced after because of this technology convergence. So primarily, if you go back, before we had smartwatches, this particular watch was just there to show and tell time, right? That was it. And some smartwatches, some watches, they had the ability to set a couple of alarms and some had the ability to show different timelines based on our current time zone. It had the ability to show the time in, let's say, time in US, time in Australia, and so on and so forth. So still, that was not a smart activity because that was just a similar action where you just do some calculations and you show the value, right? But when once because of the technology got evolvement of the technology, we got this convergence idea where multiple different sensors and factors were converged into the smartphone. So what happened was we had multiple different devices we used to track our health, fitness. So example, number of steps you take, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your temperature, and your blood oxygen, and all these things were basically in separate devices. I hope you guys should remember during the time we had this pandemic, we had this small oxygen monitors where you had to put into your finger, right? And immediately after the next release, Apple added that oxygen monitor to the watch. Now this watch consistently keep an eye on my blood oxygen, and if it goes down into a certain, let's say, if it passes a certain threshold, then I'm going to get a message saying your blood oxygen is low, right? So likewise, so the answer for that question was to basically write what are the features which was there on a smartphone, smartwatch, which was not there before. Okay, so be careful. You have the option of getting those type of questions, so you just need to be careful, be mindful about the point. Okay, nice. Okay, so we have few questions. We'll just jump through the questions as well, and then we'll quickly jump to the next unit. So the question is, which one of these could be used as a desktop replacement computer? Okay, so of course we get 4 different types of answers. We get laptop, mainframe, media player, and a server, but you need to know which one of these could be used as a desktop replacement computer, right? So the keyword here is, this is asking to replace the desktop, right? So that means if you want to replace the desktop, you do not need a mainframe, right? As we went through before, we know that a mainframe is a computer which can perform a massive loads and like massive lot of activities in it, right? So obviously mainframe is out. A media player, technically no, media player is to play media. And a server, the last item. The server is again a device. Yes, it's a computer, but it is focused towards serving a specific particular purpose. So it can be a web server, it can be a game server, it can be a production server, it can be a data server, it can be some sort of a production server, it can be a data server, it can be a database server, so on and so forth, right? So obviously, if you are planning to replace your desktop, the answer would be easily laptop, right? Straightforward. Okay, nice. Then if you take B, describe how tablet computers allow people to work from home. Okay, it's a bit of a tricky question, but in this case, yes. So you have to understand the question properly. So මෙහෙමයි වැඩි ඔය ප්‍රශ්න ටික හදනකොට they actually make it a bit tricky for the student to understand the exact requirement. Now in this case, it's asking how tablet computers allow people to work from home. So that means it's technically asking the portability and the, let's say, the ease of use of that device, right? So primarily, yes, since it's a tablet computer, the primary factor is portable, right? You can take it any place you want and you can work from any location. as well as when it comes to tablets, obviously, as we know, it has Wi-Fi access, so internet connectivity is also there. And the now in this case, in these answers, we talk about cloud storage, hosted applications, and collaboration. So I believe the most important point would be portability and internet connectivity, because the other three items are not okay. So as they say, it's correct in the answer, but from my point of view, it's not exactly matching the scenario, because these three are something which is you can do with any device, right? So when you're writing the answer, so here you just need to keep in mind, now this question, this particular question, you get 2 marks. Okay, so because you are getting 2 marks, you have to be careful. You need to write 2 specific points. Okay, so when we mark the papers, we expect the student to write the answer based on certain set of keywords as a complete answer. Okay, now example is, now here you can see the example is workers can, so working from home, so that means obviously a worker, right? So you can say employee or worker, or it's up to you on how to beautify what you write. Okay, so workers can connect to the internet and access cloud storage. Okay, otherwise we can say, because due to its portability, workers can work from anywhere. Sorry, due to its portability and internet connectivity, workers can work from any location. Okay, or you can say workers can sorry, you can say a desktop a tablet, a tablet computer. A tablet computer is portable, so a worker can access the internet from any location and work from home, or work from any location. Okay, otherwise you can say, since the tablet computer sorry, you can say a tablet computer has internet access and portability, so they can access their applications and cloud from any location. So using these keywords, you have the option of coming up with multiple different types of answers. Okay, so as long as you write the proper keywords, you're going to get the full marks. So see, in this case, internet and the cloud storage basically gets you your 2 marks. Okay, perfect. Sirin, any questions so far?
Understand, sir.
Okay, may go through the papers and remember to write the answers. Write all your points, and then we can make it sure. So I shared 4 documents for the moment on the chat, and let's work on the rest. Okay, so I'm not going too fast, right?
No, sir.
Is the explanation too fast? That's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. And also, okay, let's just go through this and then talk about this at the end. Okay, so now we talked about computers. Now we jump into digital devices. One of the most easiest modules units available in this thing, because we just talk about directly on how devices work. Okay, so features of digital devices. So primarily we talk about what are the features, what are the primary features of a digital device. Okay, so starting from the beginning, it will be mainly, it will be portability, right? So portability would be the primary feature, because when it comes to any digital device, there has to be portable. It has to be portable, and you need to have the performance, you need to have storage. Obviously, you need to have a user interface, because any device need to have some sort of a user interface for the user to interact with it, right? As well as connectivity. So connectivity is one of the most crucial things, because whatever the device you create or build, it must have some sort of a connectivity within the devices, so that it will make sure uh, the device properly works, right? And then media support, energy consumption, expansion capability, plus security features. Okay, so these are the primary set of keywords, guys. So please do highlight it, write it down. If you want to take short notes, you can write it here, and do whatever the pattern you follow to remember these keywords. So these are the primary set of items. So when it comes to the feature and the description, okay, so portability is basically the ease of carrying it someplace or using the hardware, and performance means the power, or the processing power of that particular device. So example is, if we take a, let's say if it is a smartphone, we categorize it based on the power of the CPU, as well as we categorize it based on the number of RAM and the device's capability to perform different activities, right? So then we jump into storage, which is again an important factor, because now this depends on the device. So you do not need storage on all the devices. Let's say if you take a if you take a, let's say an IoT device like a home controlling device, then you do not need a specific storage for that, right? But if you take something like a microcontroller, or let's say a management system like a house management system, then obviously yes, you need to have some sort of a storage device to store whatever the information on it, right? Yes, so storage is also important, and connectivity. As I said, connectivity is the best, like the most important thing, because whatever the device, it has to be sorry, let me rephrase. Whatever the device which is, it must have some sort of a connection interface. So it should be able to connect with something else, right? And then media support. So if it is some sort of a specific media device, or whatever it can be. So let's take a smartphone example. So your smartphone should be able to play multimedia, right? If your smartphone cannot play multimedia, then that means it is lacking a big set of features. Then energy consumption, lokuma point time. So energy consumption, this is one of the major points everybody is trying to fight and trying to innovate, basically, because as you guys know, we are in an age where batteries are being invented and experimented almost every day. So scientists are working really hard to come up with the best battery, right? So energy storage is one of the primary problems we have right now in the world. As a whole in the world, we have different levels of we have different methods of storing energy, but the primary problem we have is how much energy we can store. So that's why everybody is fighting for the biggest battery. We have the largest battery. We have 50,000, we have 5,000, 6,000, 3,000. We have increased the battery capacity by 20%. So and so on, they keep on boasting like that, right? So energy is one of the most compelling and the most complex points, because your device should use less energy. At the same time, your batteries and all should have much more power. So that's why this is like two sides of the scale. So there's a certain set of people who tries to optimize their CPUs, their processing units, as much as possible so that it will consume less power. At the same time, other side of the scale, there's a certain team of people who keeps on experimenting on batteries, on trying to find the best battery ever. So both sides are always basically equal in the scale, because so then when one side goes up, automatically the other point goes up as well. So best example is couple of days ago, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Apple released their new MacBook Airs. MacBook Air with the new M4 CPU, M4 CPU, and these guys boast that you can use it for 18 hours. Okay, so technically, if you watch movies, you can literally watch movies for 18 hours. Let's say if you're traveling to some place, longest, yeah, let's say if you're flying to some place, if you keep your laptop with you, you can watch movies the entire time period you're in the flight. Something like that. Okay, so that so when they compare it with watching movies, that means like if you type something, if you use Word or Excel, then you can use it for more than 20 hours. So I hope you guys got the point. So energy consumption is the other most important thing. And then expansion capability. So expansion capability means when you are building some sort of a device, your device should have a certain set of features where you should be able to expand the device's internals. Example is, now let's say if we take a storage device, if we take a home controlling device, you should have the option to expand it. Or if you take let's say a laptop, that laptop should have some sort of a capability of expansions. And example is like, until very recently, mobile phones had the option of expanding their storage, but nowadays I think that's not getting focused now, because phones are now much more powerful and they have the option of they do come inbuilt with a lot of storage, but earlier we did had the option of expanding the internal storage. So, and then the security features. So security features, they are also again an important point, because every device should have some sort of a set of security precautions or security levels, so that they can help protect the device and the user's data. Okay, so the device information must be protected, plus the user's data is also must be protected, because as long as we use, now example is like, okay, so if we take your phone, yeah, if I can hack into your phone and if I can see your personal data, that's going to be a big problem, right? Your phone might have like your personal messages, your bank information, pictures, call histories, and all these things, right? So everything must be protected in a way so that an unwanted, like a person who does not have access should not be able to see it. So that's about the security. Then we jump into the user interface. Okay, so the user interface, we have two different types of interfaces. Okay, now when it comes to computers and devices, we do have a front end, which is known as the user interface or the graphical user interface, GUI. Okay, and we have another type of an interface which is known as a command line interface, CLI, command line interface. Okay, so the difference between the CLI and the GUI is that the CLI is entirely focused on writing commands. So you type in a command and you expect some sort of a action to happen. Okay, so every core of the operating systems we use, like Windows, it can be Unix, it can be Linux, any sort of an operating system we have, they all have an internal command layer. Okay, so in Windows we call it the MS-DOS or the command line, and in Linux we call it the shell or the terminal. Okay, so here using this particular type of interfaces, we use it to interact with the system. So on top of these two, we do have another two specific keywords, which is a menu and a natural language interface, an NLI. Okay, so a natural language interface is something a little bit interesting. So let's jump in and see. Okay, so what is a command line interface? A command line interface, a CLI, is basically a part of an operating system which will be used to interact with the operating system using a keyword text based commands. So on a command line, all you can do is you can send text based commands and you can interact with the system. Okay, so remember the keywords: command line, CLI, users to interact okay, interact with the operating system using text based commands. Okay, highlight and put this as short notes because that's the particular word. Then CLIs are more commonly used by advanced users. Okay, so example is let's say when we connect to a server, we connect through the CLI. Okay, so technically, okay, so I work with servers a lot now, so like servers do not have a graphical user interface, so we do not get to use a GUI. So whatever we use, it is entirely based on the CLI itself. Okay, so then using the CLI, you can connect to a server and you can perform different, almost like 99.9% of all the activities can be done through the CLI. Okay, but you just need to know how to do this. And an example of CLI, as I said, it's on Microsoft. It's Microsoft Disk Operating System, MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System, and මේක වැරදිය වචන වැරදිය. So and now here it says Raspbian නෙමෙයි. So like Microsoft uses MS-DOS and in Linux we use the shell. Okay, so just please make a note of this. This is if you write this, it's correct in a way, but it's not technically correct. So it should be the terminal. So in Linux, we use the shell or the bash, SHELL, shell, or the bash, BASH, bash terminal. Okay, so these two are the particular type of things we use on Linux and Windows. Then the graphical user interface. So the GUI is similar to the CLI, but in this case, we use a graphical user interface which requires users to interact with the operating system using visual elements such as windows, icons, menus, and pointers. Okay, so we have an abbreviation known as WIMP. So windows, icons, menus, and pointers. Now here my pointer, so this is a pointer, and you are looking at a window where I have this PDF file opened and we are just going through it, right? So this is all part of the graphical user interface. So nowadays 99.9% of all the applications, devices we use, they do have a GUI. Example is even if you take a simple smart TV, mobile phones, anyway they have a GUI, no? But if you take a smartphone, a smart TV, or even now this latest smart fridges and smart washing machines, they also have a particular GUI where it will allow you to interact with the system. So this GUI is optimized for two specific items. So it is either optimized for a mouse, or it is either optimized for a touch, or using a gesture input. Okay, so touch and gesture input is nowadays you can see it almost everywhere. Like okay, so if you go to a supermarket now, most of the supermarkets and most of these cinemas and all, they do have the kiosk machines. So if you go to a different country, you can see this almost everywhere. Like even at most of the countries now, booking a bus ticket is also done through a kiosk. You have these kiosks standing around at different places. You can just go there, put money, and you can reserve a ticket for a bus. Okay, so they all contains a GUI, a graphical user interface, which you can interact with them using your hand by touching a display or a surface, or performing activities through different types of gestures. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is also a keyword. So an example around GUIs are basically the operating systems. So we have Windows, we have Android, and we have Mac OS, right? So all of these are operating systems which has specific GUIs incorporated with them. Okay, then what is this menu interface? So this is also one important type of an interface, which is known as a menu, where it will basically give you a certain set of menus to interact with a device. Okay, so a menu interface is a successive menu presented to a user with a single option at each stage. Okay, so this is often controlled by buttons or a keypad, which is basically there to perform a specific activity. Okay, now menu interfaces, you can't get multiple things done. Menu එකක් වුණාම මේක limit එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So you obviously have a certain specific set of tasks which you can perform through a menu, right? So an example would be these small machines where you have these chip and pin machines, or like let's say vending machines, or like entertainment streaming services. Now හොඳම වැඩේ තියෙන මොකක්ද දන්නවද? Okay, POTV. So SLT, POTV, or dialogue TV. So both of them have something similar to a menu interface, not a GUI. It's a menu interface, right? When you go to the menu, you get the channel list. No? So you using the remote keypad, you go up and down and you select whatever the channel you want to watch. Plus, at the same time, if you try to increase or decrease the volume of the TV, then also that would be displayed as two menu items. So you either press on the top plus or you press on the minus. As well as if you take the same example, TVs, you can plug in HDMI and display cables to a TV. No? So when you plug in a display cable, what you get is you have to select the inputs. So inputs also, you get a menu and you have the option of selecting which input you want to be active. Right? Likewise, menu interfaces are something similar to that. And what else? Okay. අපේ පරණ button phones where we had this yeah, dumb phones are phones are, so they don't have a graphical interface where you can control the touch and all. So those are also known as menu interfaces, where when you let's see, when you take the phone and when you look at it, you tend to see all the available menu items. Let's say messages. When you go to the profile, the menu, it opens up and it gives you a certain set of menu actions. So you select the menu action, and just like that you are in. Okay, I hope you got the point. Right? So then that is about the menu interfaces. Then we jump into this new thing called the natural language interfaces. Okay, so natural language interfaces, NLIs. NLIs are something which came up like very recently, where we have the ability to communicate with a device through our natural language. Okay, so example is mainly virtual assistants like Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri. So you can just say, "Hey Siri," and from there you can tell a command, and Siri will execute it, right? Or if you say, "Hey Google," and it will basically listen to your voice command and it will work. I'm not sure the exact keyword for Alexa. I think "Hey Alexa" or "Hello Alexa." I'm not sure. So they basically listen to your natural voice and they give you the output. So examples would be virtual assistants, or you can actually use the word as voice assistants. Okay, and search engines plus smart home devices. So nowadays, about 90% of the smartphone devices, they do support some sort of a voice assistant. So as long as you can sync it to your, let's say, your phone or your Google device, you can just like that synchronize and give voice commands. So you can say, "Hey Siri, turn on my bedroom lights," and that would automatically listen to the command, and it will check if I have some sort of a smart light which is fixed in my bedroom, and if it finds that, then it would automatically turn it on. Okay, nice. Okay, so that's about interfaces. Okay, I hope you got a clear idea about the structure about interfaces. Then we jump into a small comparison. Okay, so this comparison is just something like what we discussed so far, but I'll quickly go through this anyway. So we do have this. You do get this type of questions. Huh? So during the last, I think last year we had a question similar to this focused on networks. Okay, so they basically give you this table, and in this table they ask you to fill it up based on a certain set of features. Okay, now in this case you can see a desktop, laptop, and a smartphone are there. So it's quite simple. You just need to understand the features and you can just fill it in. So desktop portability wise, yeah, desktops are not portable. You cannot carry it and go to places, right? So that's an obvious point. No? But a laptop is a little bit portable, and smartphones are basically designed to be portable. Performance wise, desktops has the highest performance ratio, because desktops are designed to do high-end performance. Sorry, desktops are designed to process high-end workloads so that they can perform much more. Laptops are basically in the middle sweet point. They do have the performance, plus since they are mainly focused towards portability, they do focus on the portability as well. And smartphones, no, compared to the desktop and the laptop, no, their performance is really less, right? Then storage wise, also again desktops wins this race, because you do have the capacity to expand storage on desktops. Like basically, if you buy a heavy high-end desktop motherboard, like what do you call this? You have these motherboards known as art series motherboards. Those are like production grade motherboards which is created for uh, like graphic producers and so on and so forth, video producers and sound engineers and so on and so forth. So for those type of motherboards, you can actually fix up to 6, 7, 8 hard drives. Okay, so that means you get the option to expand the storage like as you how much as you require. So obviously desktop wins again, and laptops, they are still in the sweet spot. So you do have the option to scale the storage up to a certain extent. Obviously there are limitations, but compared to desktops, they still have a good chance in storage expansion. But smartphones, as we all know, smartphone storage is fairly limited because as you guys also know, smartphones with high storage is expensive because of the limitations when it comes to the storage, that particular type of small miniature storages. Then media support, then again, this is of course, guys, yes, so according to the theory, yes, desktops have the media support. So this is okay. මාත් එක කවුරුත් ගහගන්න කලින් මං කියන්නේ I'll have to explain this now. Now, when we say media support, yes, you might say laptops can play anything as well as smartphones can play anything. That is perfect. That is perfectly true. But here, what they say, what they specifically mention as media support is different types of, let's say, graphical rendering, video processing, sound processing, and so on and so forth. So let's say now example is now this particular video which is I'm recording right now. This video will be close to about 10 or 11 gigabytes, 10 or 12 gigabytes. Okay, so I am using a very high-end laptop. So this is one of fully spec'd out Apple high-end machines. So yes, this is much more powerful than a typical desktop. So because of that reason, I do have a lot of storage as well. So I have the option of processing this. But if you take a typical laptop, if you take a normal laptop, which is, let's say, uh, in the early range, like a base laptop, let's use that word, then this video cannot be recorded on a base level laptop because it does not have that capacity to run all these softwares at once, right? So that is how you do the comparison. So now when you do that comparison, do it in that way, then yes, obviously uh, desktop wins the race. But as well as now, when it comes to laptops, always keep in mind, yes, you guys might say that no, there are laptops powerful than desktops. Yes, there are, but we do not add that into the base comparison. But and the same thing goes for smartphones as well, because smartphones are very, let's say, extremely optimized to consume and produce media, right? So as you guys know, all this TikTok and Instagram and all these YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, and TikTok videos and all. Most of the time, about 90% of those videos are being edited on smartphones itself, right? So that means smartphones does have the power to perform those type of activities. So that's why in this comparison, we can see laptops and smartphones both are in the same range. Okay, so I hope that idea is clear. Then energy consumption plus expansion capability, security features, yeah, these three. Okay, so energy consumption, yes, of course, desktops consume most of the energy, and second in line we have laptops, and mobile phones are smartphones are basically at the end, because smartphones are mainly designed to be very energy efficient, right? And expansion compatibility, yes, desktops can be expanded, and laptops, yes, up to a certain extent, but smartphones, it's a big no. Smartphones cannot be expanded. And security features wise, security features, desktops and laptops both have almost similar security features. With I think nowadays, if you do a direct comparison, I think laptops have much more security features than desktops, because most of the laptops now have like different types of authentication abilities, like to authenticate using fingerprints, as well as there are like, if you take something, if you take an Apple MacBook, so these MacBooks has something known as the T2 chip, which is an internal chip where it will store your fingerprint locally on the device itself. So when you save your fingerprint, when you try to unlock your device, that fingerprint validation is actually done within the hardware level. So that means technically, even if your laptop is stolen, if you have your data encrypted, nobody can take it out. So best example is, if somebody steals my laptop, I can erase it. So I do have all my banking information, accounts, personal photos and personal messages and documents, everything on the laptop, and I can immediately, just by using my iPhone, I can erase the laptop. Okay, so security wise, I believe, in my personal opinion, laptops are much more secure than desktops because of these devices, security features. And then when it comes to security, the smartphones are actually not that good in security, because primarily because it's portable, and secondary because the device can be manipulated. Okay, and then we talk about the user interface. So the user interface, obviously, it's keyboard and mouse for a desktop, and for a laptop, it can be a touchpad, or keyboard and touchpad, or the newer laptops. There are designed models where it actually lets you touch the screen, and you can actually use the device by just swiping your fingers. But for the mobile phones, now mobile phones are all defaulted into touch screens. Now technically we don't get keypads on mobile phones. Earlier, like until very recently, we actually got keypads. Like we had mobile phones with keypads, but now I think that's a production overhead, because you have to spend a lot of building a keypad. So then, final point is connectivity. So connectivity is basically, now here in this case, when we say connectivity, guys, it's about all the types of connectivity. So එකක් නෙමෙයි, මෙතන එන්නේ connectivity ජාති ගොඩක් එනවා. So here, when it comes to a desktop, you can see desktops has different types of ports, and multiple abilities to connect different devices. So you can you can connect USB devices, you can connect HDMI, and you do have lots and lots of ports, as well as you can expand. So you can basically, if your motherboard has enough slots, you can plug in different slots and have different connectivity options enabled. Like, let's say if you want to plug 20 USB connectors, you can buy and expand your USB, what do you call it, you can get something like a PCI USB card, which will have again a certain set of USB devices, which then you can expand. Okay, so desktops gives you an unlimited range of connectivity. Laptops, it's most of the time the common ports are available, like to connect a HDMI through a monitor, USB, USB-C, and sometimes you get the network port as well. And sometimes, like as these MacBooks, you don't get anything. They just have three input ports plus an HDMI, and that's it. So it depends. Okay, so depending on the, let's say, depending on the type of the device, it still gives you the most basic types of connectivity. Then when it comes to phones, smartphones, primarily it's wireless and Bluetooth. Okay, so these two are the primary two factors which allows you to connect some sort of a device or connect your device to some sort of a network. Plus, keep in mind, this is not there in the list, by the way. Nowadays, the smartphones, most of the smartphones, like yeah, about 90% of the smartphones which is being manufactured right now, they are following a convention, a standard convention of using a USB-C port. Okay, so when you use the USB-C port, how it works is it will basically allow you to connect with multiple devices. So example is my iPhone. I I plug this into my TV as well. So I do have a something something like a USB-C hub, and I plug in the USB-C port here, and I plug this into the TV, and I can watch movies on the TV. Okay, so you do have like lot of different options like that. Give me 1 second. Hello. Hari, put a key mine.